In this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 tips for hand stitching leather. You'll get more consistent, cleaner stitches, and it will just be easier to do it as well. These 10 tips will elevate your hand stitching. First, to set the context here, what is saddle stitching, what is hand stitching, and how does that compare to machine stitching? Let's dive into an example, and I'll show you how the two differ from one another.
Okay, so a saddle stitch, really here there are two threads that are holding the piece together. I'm going to show them here in a red and a black. So let's say that the red thread accidentally breaks in this one location. Then we have the black thread that will be keeping the piece nice and tight and secure. But then also just a few stitches back from the red thread where it broke, you have the friction of the thread that will hold the piece together. So super secure. Now I've got an example here. I've used two pieces of thread, red and black, and you can see how the two weave in and out and alternate. This gives you a nice example of what a saddle stitch looks like. So you can see on the right hand side here, from the right we go black, red, black, and on the other side we do the inverse. Now onto a machine stitch. How does this differ? Well, the key difference is that your two threads don't actually go through the leather to keep a piece secure. They just lap over one another in between the piece of leather. Now this means that you don't have that security of two threads holding the piece nice and tight together. So let's say the red thread breaks, then it'll eventually unravel here, the black thread will go up, and then this will continue along the length of thread. So eventually over time, the thread will break and the piece will fall apart. So with a saddle stitch, you have the two threads that will keep the piece secure for decades to come.
The first tip is around how to correctly lock the thread onto your needle and how to get yourself set up for a really clean saddle stitch. Let's have a look at an example.
Click the link in the description to see my full DIY for the pincushion. So if you have a needle where the eyelet is gummed up with wax, what you can do is just very easily burn this off. Use a lighter and you can see now the eyelet is clean and ready to go. So I like to cut the thread at an angle, push it down, and then that will make it easy to get it through the eye of the needle. So I do one loop, and then I'll bend that thread back over and create an S shape. Now here you can pull the thread onto the needle to lock it down securely. Then I like to just tighten that loop a little bit further. Now you're ready to sew.
So tip number 2 is going to be about thread length. So I have got 3 very different examples here in terms of thread length, and I'm going to talk you through how to calculate how much thread you need for your specific project. Now these are all using a saddle stitch if we were going to look at a different type of stitching. So here I've got a cross stitch, and you can see it's a very different type of stitch. It's got a very different external look, and as a result of the cross hatches on the outside and the bars on the inside, you need a lot more thread. So for this little guy here, I actually used 15 times the stitch length to calculate the right amount of thread.
So because of back stitching and the way that you finish the thread, you actually need a lot more thread for your smaller projects. So if something's really small, a small, and then sort of a medium size, use the 8, 6, and 4 times the thread length. Anything larger than a Kindle case, you can also just keep using 4 times thread length. So in this example, I'm going to measure that stitch length, and then what I will do is take my thread and then just measure out 6 times that stitch length. So I finished the stitching here, and you can see I've just got a little bit of thread left.
So tip number 3 is how to improve your stability while sewing. So this tip is focused on not having to go and buy relatively expensive stitching pony. So if you're just starting out, how do you improve your stability whilst doing it on a budget? So there are 3 ways to do this. Number 1 is to hold the piece within your knees. And I did this probably for the first 3 months of stitching. So each and every time I would make a wallet, make a pouch, do any small keyring, I would hold that piece directly in my knees, clamp it, and then that would give me 2 hands free to actually do the sewing. Then what I realized is you could also use a book, and that really helps just keep the piece a little bit neater and also gives you a little bit more space to do the stitching. Or alternatively, you could make your own stitching pony. So I built this just with a couple of pieces of wood and hardware that I had lying around the house from various DIY projects. And this is super cheap to make. So I can loosen the nut here, put the piece in, tighten it up, and then that will allow me to keep the piece nice and secure while sewing. Drop a comment below if you would like to see a full DIY of how to make your own stitching pony. Tip number 4 is to use beeswax when you're stitching. Beeswax can be really helpful when you're actually starting out stitching, and you can run your thread essentially through the beeswax to add a layer of beeswax to the thread, to stiffen it up, to smooth down the fibers, and to get a nice consistent thread ready for stitching.
So for anyone getting into leatherwork on a budget, these cheaper threads that you buy typically don't have as much wax on them, so you can add that yourself just to run the thread through the beeswax to add a layer of strength to it. Smooth down any of those fibers. And you can see in these 2 examples, in my right hand here, I've got a piece of thread that I've used beeswax on, and on the left, I haven't. So you can see the real difference in the stiffness of the thread.
Tip number 5 is what to do when you run out of thread whilst you're stitching. So maybe you weren't aware of tip number 2 and how to calculate the suggested thread length for each project, and you run out of thread midway through a project. Is there anything you can do, or do you have to start again? Let's take a look at it.
So I don't have enough thread to complete this stitch. Now what I'm going to do is cut the existing tails off. I'll then get a new thread. I'm going to go for a different colour so you can see the contrast. I'm then going to go back from one stitching hole, go through, measure for halfway of the thread, and then I will continue my saddle stitch forwards, being careful to make sure that I avoid those tails that I've left. Then when you're a few stitches ahead, what I can do now is just neaten up and melt the existing thread.
Tip number 6 is how to avoid the other thread whilst you're stitching. This was really a game changer for me when I started out. I kept going through the other thread. Let me show you how to avoid the other thread each and every time. Check out tip number 9. If you ever do stitch through another thread, what can you do in this situation? How can you resolve it?
So with my left hand, I will create a loop. I'll then pull it back, and with the needle in my right, I will then swap that over to my left. So you can see I've now exposed the hole, so it's easy to put the needle through without catching the thread. I'll then swap over hands and pull the needle through. Now what you can also do is then pull the thread backwards and forwards just to make sure you haven't caught it. So another example, create the loop, pull it back, you can then put the needle through, do the back and forth to check, and continue. You can create a whole nice clean line of stitches now.
Tip number 7 is how to get nice consistent stitching each and every time. This is potentially one of the biggest things that sets your piece apart from looking professional to looking pretty amateur. There's just one thing you need to do each and every time. Let me show you what that is.
So this is an example of what we want to avoid. Really inconsistent stitching. It's all over the place, it doesn't look professional. Let me show you what you can do to avoid this. So the key here really is consistency. You need to keep your hand movements the same for each and every stitch. So I'll create the loop, I'll pull it back, I'll then go through with my right hand, I'll then cast over with my left, pull it through, and then make sure that my right hand also pulls the thread down. So you can see between different stitches, my hand movements are the same each and every time. And that is the key. It's simple. This allows you to create a whole line of beautifully perfect stitches. There you go. A nice clean line, consistent. It's not changing directions, it's looking neat and tidy.
Tip number 8 is all about needle tension and how hard to pull the thread. Now, tension of the thread really depends on lots of different factors. Leather thickness, type of leather, the size of the holes that you're using, whether you're using diamond chisels or circular chisels that actually cut out holes for the thread. So let's dive into a few examples.
So here I have 3 different examples of tension for the thread. Starting with the loose, we're not pulling the thread tight, and you can see that it sits outside of the stitching holes. The tight, we're really putting the thread under some tension, and you can see it's starting to warp the leather. Now we're being somewhere in the middle, nice and consistent, some tension, but not damaging or wrinkling the leather. So looking at the results, you can see that the loose example, the thread is not nice and protected. Over time, it will get damaged by wear and eventually break. The tight example doesn't look too bad from the front, but when you see the top, you can see how much damage it has made to the leather. And when we look at the back, you can see you're actually at risk of pulling the thread through the stitching holes. So with a medium amount of needle tension, you can see we have a nice, clean, consistent stitch. It's hidden within the stitching line, it's not exposed and not subject to damage, but it's not too tight and we're not damaging the piece of leather.
Tip number 6 was all about how to avoid the thread. Now this tip, number 9, is what do you do when you do sew through the other thread? I'm going to give you an example of how to resolve it, and then also an example of if you damage the thread, really you need to start again. So let me show you those 2 different examples now.
So in this example, we've accidentally sewn through the thread. So we cut it off, and then what we can do is pull this thread through the other thread, pull it back through. Then I would push down the fibers, maybe apply some beeswax, put the needle back onto the thread and continue with the saddle stitch. Here we've not only gone through the thread cleanly, we've tangled it, we've disrupted it, we've actually damaged that thread. I would have to start again on this example, but take it as a learning point.
Tip number 10 is all about finishing the thread. And so here we're talking about how to correctly melt the end pieces of the threads to make your project look really nice and consistent and clean. So I've got this little piece here with different thread lengths. I'm going to jump into an example and show you the differences in thread length and the end result. Let's have a look.
So you have 3 different examples of tail length. The short is about 1/8 of an inch, medium about 1/4, and the long about 1/2 inch. Now you remember this example, this is what we want to avoid. So let's see the short thread. When we're melting the wax here, you can see we actually damage the leather because we have to get so close to it. Now let's take a look at a longer example. Here, the thread actually catches on fire, spits out hot wax, and makes a huge mess. So this is really what we want to avoid as well. Let's try an example in the middle. What I like to do is push the threads apart and then slowly and carefully melt the wax and use the metal part of the lighter to smooth it down. You can see it doesn't catch fire, we don't damage the leather, we create a nice, clean, consistent melt.